We're proud to welcome you to the new Leadership Exchange series brought to you by the Investments and Wealth Institute. This series aims to harvest industry knowledge, trends, and insight about the business of financial advice. This episode and series comes to you as we celebrate the first annual Institute Diversity and Inclusion Week, June 14th through 20th, 2021. We believe that meaningful change in this area will only come about when we come together as an industry. Learn more about Diversity and Inclusion Week and our other initiatives by visiting www.investmentsandwealth.org.
I'm your host, Sean Walters, Chief Executive Officer of the Investments and Wealth Institute, which is a premier membership association, education provider, and standards body for financial advisors. I'm joined by Craig Young, Managing Director, National Business Development Executive at Merrill Lynch. Craig is responsible for driving consistent business development activities and management practices across Merrill Lynch, deploying the national sales strategy, and executing key initiatives to support responsible growth. Welcome, Craig.
Hey, it's great to be here, Sean. Thank you for having me.
Can you talk a little bit about the current climate as it relates to economic and racial equity and Bank of America / Merrill Lynch's approach?
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Look, we're clearly in a time of national soul searching, and we know fundamentally that the idea of leaving entire communities behind based on racial composition is morally wrong. But not only that, it's certainly bound to spoil the chances of our society at large achieving a shared and meaningful economic prosperity. So it's commercially unsound. And at Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, diversity and inclusion is core to our culture. And I think, Sean, we have that in common between our organizations. And, to that end, I'd like to commend you and your team for your efforts here as well. You're consistently working to ensure that people of color, women, LGBTQ+, and those with disabilities, you're ensuring they all have access to professional training that is so critical to success in our industry. And so for me, on a personal and professional note, what you and team do is greatly appreciated. At our firm, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, leading diversity and inclusion starts from the top. We believe we must have that commitment there before we can ask others to live it out. And for us, that's our CEO, Brian Moynihan, our broader board of directors, and the management team. It starts there, then goes into our workforce. And when you think about, our workforce, it's one of the most diverse in the nation. Our global management team is 50% diverse. When you look at our U.S.-based workforce, it's 53% women and more than 45% people of color. And then when you step, outside of the walls of Bank of America, we have really stood out and stood up for our communities as well. And so a year ago, in June, our company announced a $1 billion commitment over 4 years. That has now increased to $1.25 billion over 5 years, with the commitment itself focused on programs aimed at advancing racial and economic equity. And specifically, we're supporting those who are creating opportunities in healthcare, jobs and reskilling, small business and housing. And, we've already allocated roughly $350 million of this capital. And, for us, what's unique is that we're very much embedded in the community. So our allocation process is not centered around a national scope, but it focuses more through what we call our market president organization, which are 91 communities spread, throughout the United States, where we can allocate these resources directly to organizations in need. And then, further, we also committed an additional $25 million to support a new Smithsonian Institute project called Race, Community, and Our Shared Future, which supports a national dialogue and just understanding the relationship between fellow human beings across the world. And so you can, see from our, perspective, we stand behind, our words with action, both internally and externally. And, this is truly foundational to how we operate. It's not just a nice to have, but it's essential to our ability to serve our clients, fulfill our purpose, and drive our responsible growth.
What is Merrill doing more specifically to bring equity, diversity, and inclusion to the world of financial advice? What have you guys accomplished so far?
Yeah, it's a great question, Sean. To us, diversity and inclusion is both a moral and commercial imperative. However, in order to create sustainable change, it must be built into the framework of the overall organization. And, one of the first things our president, Andy Sieg, did when he assumed leadership in 2017 was to build diversity into our leadership goals and weighted them, equally against the more traditional metrics that you might see, such as household acquisition and flows. And also we've been, on a course to build what we call the modern Merrill. And central to that strategy is this concept of attracting, training, and developing people who look like the communities we're serving or want to serve, and leading them through a successful career over their lifetime here at Merrill. And we've never stopped and won't ever stop focusing on attracting, developing, and retaining diverse talent. And we're always eager to add more, certainly to the Thundering Herd. We feel this is absolutely critical to connect with aspiring wealth management professionals in those communities to fulfill our modern Merrill promise. And then, for us, it's certainly built into the framework of what we do, but we also believe, the other thing here is transparency and accountability. And at the end of the day, we as an organization want to be part of the broader solution. So we've introduced unprecedented transparency about diversity, within our firm. Far too long, and, large firms, including us, have been able to avoid the diversity spotlight, and so in the last year, it quickly became clear to us that full transparency was overdue. And we are committed to moving just, beyond the rhetoric. And so last August, Merrill publicly released details on the diversity of our business, along with our hiring and retention plans going forward. We were really certainly the first major firm in the wealth management space to share, specific racial and gender composition numbers of its advisors. And we hope this sparks a trend and a dialogue, because, this level of transparency creates tremendous accountability, and we're certainly committed to that.
What sorts of things you all doing to create a more diversified workforce?
A couple of things here. First, we have several what we call advisory councils to management and diversity networks that represent the interests of various constituencies to senior leadership and ensure our advisors of color and other minority affiliations have a voice. When we have a robust Black African American Leadership Council, a Hispanic Latino Advisory Council, and Women's Exchange. And, these are all strong programs that sponsor annual conferences for members to gather, network, share community, and best practices. And as always, Andy Sieg, our president, makes a point to be there with these groups to ensure there's a direct line of communication to him. It's important for the organization. We're also, very proud of our Merrill Executive Council for Diversity and Inclusion, which is a laser focused on, hiring and representation, engagement, inclusiveness, and diverse FA performance and communications across the board. We're also focused on inclusion, as you heard me mention, because as it's not good enough just to have people here, but we encourage and want people to know they have a voice and can be themselves. And so to that end, last year as an organization, 20,000 Merrill employees participated in training aimed at understanding unconscious bias and fostering inclusivity in the workplace. We've also, done several research studies, some, examining unconscious bias, like our groundbreaking study, Seeing the Unseen, which is, discusses the role gender plays in wealth management. And then lastly, here, Sean, last October, we also followed up with some additional studies focused on the Black African American community, the Hispanic Latino community, and the LGBTQ plus investor community as well, with some really powerful insights designed to support not only this community, but those that serve them as well. And so there'll be more to come on this, and we look forward to sharing it with you in the months ahead.
Yeah, that's terrific, Craig. And one of the things I really am excited to hear about is, and one of the reasons I was excited to talk with Merrill Lynch is you guys have actually seen some results. So talk a little bit about what results have you seen and how do you all measure success?
Yeah, look, totally. We've definitely seen some positive momentum, and we're seeing increased representation at all levels, in a meaningful way. I still have more to do, though. But, to that end, Merrill's executive group includes, 10 people. 50% of our group is diverse, mirroring that of the Bank of America executive management team as well. Today, when we look at our Merrill Lynch Wealth Management Advisor trainee class, it's the most diverse in our history, 30% female, and more than a third people of color. going forward, our new program under the leadership of Eric Schimpf is, designed to help us attract and retain even greater numbers of diverse talent here in the near future. And, from our vantage point, it opens up a, visible opportunity for successful careers in wealth management to a much broader range of candidates. We couldn't be more excited about it. And then when you get specific, to the numbers in recent years, our female representation is up 17%, going from 18 to 21%. Our people of color representation is up, 49%, going from, 15 and a half or so to 23%. Our Black African American representation up 88%, going from 2.5% to 4.5%. Hispanic Latino representation here again up 54%, increasing from 6, to 9%. And Sean, I just would say, while we're certainly proud of that, these are great numbers. We are far from satisfied and are committed to making a difference for the long term.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Craig. So talk a little bit about what does the future hold for Merrill Lynch? What's yet to be done to continue to transform the landscape?
Look, there's, a lot to do across the industry, but let me just start here and say, while 2020 and the pandemic itself has been, daunting, we believe wealth creation is going to explode in the 2020s. And so, global wealth among all areas of the population is predicted to grow by tens of trillions of dollars in the next few years alone, from more than 226 trillion today to as much as 280 trillion by 2025. And what's key here is that a significant percentage of this growth we feel will occur among diverse populations, presenting a tremendous market opportunity in the Black African American, Hispanic, Latino, female, and LGBTQ plus communities. When you kind of look behind the numbers, the Black African American community, it now represents roughly 1.3 trillion in buying power. Hispanic Latino community, 1.5 trillion. The LGBTQ plus community, 3.8 trillion. And women represent more than 11 trillion in buying power, and that's now. So you can imagine where it'll be on a go forward. And so from our vantage point, to ignore these markets would be irresponsible. And that's why, we are working with and for them, and we play a huge role in bringing them into the economic mainstream. At the end of the day, we're always going to listen to our clients, our advisors, and our communities, and we continue and will continue to develop and deliver the modern Merrill. It's all about a sense of belonging, where every individual feels welcome at Merrill, feels valued and respected. And to us, that's kind of the touchstone of our culture.
Yeah. So we, as an organization, represent roughly 15,000 members, certificates, candidates from all business models. Around 40 to 45% of our members are independent advisors. And about 40% are employee advisors from large firms. Part of the reason I really enjoy this exchange is so a lot of our independent advisors can see, the change efforts at a macro scale, like you're leading there at Merrill Lynch, Craig. And it's important for us to kind of, as an education body, to orient and educate the advisor community as a whole that, the financial advice world is so much bigger than a lot of their billion-dollar practices, where they're handling $1 billion in assets under management. These are some major initiatives you guys are spearheading, and I applaud you for that effort. And maybe let's shift more broadly. What do you see as the trends for advisors as a profession? How might advisors better position themselves, their teams, and their practices for long-term success?
Yeah, hey, look, it's great. Another great question, Sean. And what's great about the industry is that we're all just focused on client service, right, and doing the best we can to serve, our clients. And so, to that end, we only see this continuing to grow as clients' needs become, more complex as we go forward. And so, the advisor profession remains highly competitive, and lucrative. What it takes to be at the top of the profession, though, is changing rapidly, as clients' needs and preferences are evolving, as I mentioned. And so, this evolution has been, greatly, certainly accelerated by the pandemic. And, clients are rethinking priorities, leading to an intensified need for professional guidance that is truly holistic, encompassing various life goals and understanding of a client's full financial and non-financial circumstances. And, hence the need for planning beyond just investments. That need has intensified greatly. And so has the need for planning expertise and related certifications, either with the advisor themselves or, through an integrated member of the advisor's team. And, to that end, as we talk about client needs becoming more complex, talking about, teams, we're also seeing a clear shift from solo practitioners to team-based practices with specialized roles of planners, relationship managers, and the like, so that, advisor teams can meet these complex needs of clients and deliver for them comprehensively. Advisors can position themselves and their teams, for success by delivering, a differentiated, best-in-class client experience, and we think leading with purpose, as we see this kind of mindset coming up more in clients, as we moved through the pandemic. At Merrill, delivering a best-in-class, experience is a focus throughout the life cycle of our clients, and our, best advisors look to continually surprise and delight. They have, regular routines around communication and deliver comprehensive wealth management. So all of the clients' needs are addressed, throughout their lifetimes. This kind of ability, if you will, for our advisors to have access to a comprehensive set of competencies and solutions is really crucial for their success and resulting growth because it allows them to serve the client. The solutions we offer at Merrill, they go far beyond investing. And our platforms offer award-winning digital capabilities to continually meet the needs of our clients. And speaking of digital, right, we just went through the pandemic here. Clients we found are embracing digital in all facets of their life and across all wealth and age cohorts. To us, this means that advisors need to be tech savvy and supported by the tech infrastructure they need to find, engage, collaborate, and service clients digitally. And this last point, is important since when considering what platform to build their businesses on, advisors, should know that they need to ensure the tech infrastructure they're working with is industry leading so that their practice can be relevant, both today and well into the future. And then, lastly here, Sean, we certainly know, and we discussed this a little bit earlier, we certainly know the face of the typical high net worth client is quickly changing with the proportion of women and minorities rising, as we hit on earlier here. Hence, it is crucial and critically important that the advisor team, is as diverse as the client base it serves, in order to better understand those clients.
That's a great answer. Definitely tease up future topics in this Leadership Exchange series. And hope you'll join us, at least as nothing else, as a listener in the future, Craig. One last question, how can professional associations like the Institute play a role in helping with diversity and inclusion? And how do we help with supporting and advancing the profession?
Yeah, hey, Sean, there is no doubt that as good as a firm is, the credibility that comes with a well-respected and rigorous designation is something that the public is looking for from their advisors. And so, it certainly shows a commitment to the profession and to lifelong learning and to, wanting to deliver on behalf of their clients. And so, we are certainly proud of our association with IWI and have the leading number of CIMA and CPWA certificates. Our focus on comprehensive wealth management and planning is unwavering. And we certainly, as a Merrill Lynch business, we look forward to working even more closely together with you, Sean, here in the future. So what you and your team does, is vital to client service and also to advancing the diversity and inclusion cause. So thank you.
Well, no, thank you, Craig. I appreciate you giving your time and all the work that you're doing and your firm is doing to really kind of move this important issue forward. It's like I said, I was excited to talk with you because there's a lot of change initiatives in the industry, and I'm a CEO. I like seeing results, and you guys are definitely having some results. So thank you, Craig.
This episode is brought to you by the Investments and Wealth Institute's Thrive Center for Diversity and Inclusion. The Thrive Center's purpose is to foster a profession where financial advisors from all backgrounds thrive, thereby promoting a more diverse and sustainable workforce within the profession. Learn more about the Thrive Center's mission, upcoming events, and how you can get involved by visiting www.investmentsandwealth.org/thrive.